Welcome to the What's Important Now broadcast. In America today, we are witnessing a cultural shift. This is the show devoted to the battle for the soul of our country. Join our host, Tom Sears, as he explains the issues of our day and join the fight to bring values and morality back. Let's join Tom now as he shares what's important now.
And welcome inside of What's Important Now. I'm Tom Sears, and I'm glad you've joined us today. Now, if this program encourages you, if it challenges you, if it sharpens your thinking, I want to invite you to subscribe, as we always do. Give you the opportunity to connect with us. Also, visit us at legacylivingmedia.com. You'll find resources, our other podcast, and tools to help you live and lead with purpose. Everything we do is built around helping you think clearly, lead intentionally, and live in a way that leaves a legacy. So, because if you don't decide what's important now, as I've said it many, many times, something else decides it for you. And I want to talk today, if I can, about something that I believe every leader faces, every parent feels, and every person experiences, and that's called pressure. It's deadlines, it's expectations, it's conflict, it's uncertainty. I know it's something that I feel a lot, but it's not just pressure. It's what pressure reveals, because you have to know pressure is not the problem. We think pressure is the problem. We always think things like, well, if things were a little bit easier and if circumstances were better, if people were just different, then I would be at my best. But it's not true. Because pressure does not create who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, pressure reveals who you are. And if you look to Luke chapter 6, verse 45, Jesus said, "For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." And so what that means is that what comes out while you're under pressure reveals what's in your heart. And so it means that it was already in you before the pressure showed up. And pressure is not the source. Pressure is the spotlight. And so it shines light on what's hidden beneath the surface. And many times we don't like what we see. But exposure is not punishment, it's opportunity. And there's this great myth that we like to tell ourselves. And it's, well, that's not me. Maybe you're listening right now and you're like, it's not me. I don't know what he's talking about. But maybe you've said this, or maybe you've heard other people say it. That's not who I am. I didn't mean that. Or that's not really me. But here's the truth. Pressure doesn't introduce something new. It exposes what is already there and most of the time hidden. And when it rises, when pressure rises, patience or anger will show up. Faith or fear will show up. Discipline or impulse shows up. Clarity or more confusion shows up. And whatever shows up, ladies and gentlemen, that was already there. And that's why we can choose to look at pressure like it's a gift. That if you let it teach you, it's a gift. Because it will show up and it will show you what needs to grow. It reveals the areas of your life that need strengthened. And it will it'll sort of pull back the covers of what needs to be surrendered in our lives. And so here's the thing. You cannot fix what you refuse to see. And pressure will force you to see it. I think back to what Jesus said in Matthew 7. It's a parable, but he talked about two men who built houses. And he said very simply, one man built on a rock, and then there's another guy, and he built his house on sand. And the storm came, and this storm hit both of them. Not just one of them, the storm hit both of them. Now think about that. It was the same wind, it was the same rain, it was the same pressure. It hit both of them. And the difference wasn't the storm. It was, again, the same for both. The difference in this parable was the foundation. Pressure reveals what you're built on. If you're built on emotion, pressure shakes you. If you are built on approval, pressure, well, it will break you. If you're built on ego, pressure's going to expose you. But if you're the other guy, if you're that other person that's building on truth, building on discipline, building on Christ, pressure will prove you. And so storms do not create weaknesses. They reveal where strength has not been built yet. And that's why I say, ladies and gentlemen, it absolutely can be a gift. And so we've all heard it said, you rise to the occasion. It sounds good. It's motivational, isn't it? But it's just not accurate. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. Pressure won't make you great. Pressure can help make you ready. I tell people all the time, it's like, when I'm talking to coaches and I say things like, listen, we've been lied to our entire lives. They've told us that practice makes perfect, and it's a lie. Practice makes better. And pressure, in that same sort of thought, it doesn't make you great. You use it to make you better, to make you ready. And that's why what you do in private matters more than what happens in public. What you do when no one is watching determines how you respond when everyone is. Because your habits, my habits, your habits, they shape our reactions. And discipline will shape our decisions. And that consistency to keep, doing the right things, having that discipline, forming those new, better habits, it shapes your character. And so, in coaching, we say it all the time. You don't win the game on game day. You win it in preparation. And life is really no different, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there's sort of this battle taking place in our lives. And on one side of the ring is emotional pressure. And then on the other side is spiritual stability. And so let's talk first about emotional pressure, because pressure hits the mind first. Think about it. In your daily lives, your jobs, deadlines, conflict, expectations, it's criticism from other people. It's the uncertainty. And if your mind is not anchored, if you don't have a firm foundation, the guy that built his house on a rock, then emotions lead you. And emotions were never designed to lead. Emotions, ladies and gentlemen, are designed to respond. And so I think about Romans 12:2 that says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because a renewed mind will produce steady thinking. And steady thinking produces controlled responses. So you're not being led around by your emotions, because controlled responses will build trust. And think about it this way. If your thoughts are constantly chaotic, how do you think you'll react? I would argue that your reactions also become chaotic. If your thoughts are really grounded, then your responses will be really measured. And this is why I live my life, or try to live my life this way. And I tell people all the time that time with God matters, that opportunity to take a step back and just reconnect. That's why his word matters. And that's why prayer matters, because you are training your mind before pressure hits. And as I said, we are revealed under pressure. Now, listen, if you're a leader, you're a supervisor on your job, you're running a business, you own your own business, you're teaching in a classroom, you're leading a church, you're leading your family, you're a leader. Your leadership will always be revealed under pressure, not when things are easy. And anybody can lead when things are smooth. Anybody can be positive when everything is working. We can all be calm when there's nothing on the line. That's easy, right? But pressure, it reveals leadership. And let me ask you a few questions. Do you panic or do you steady the room? Have you ever been in the midst of trouble? Do you panic or are you a voice of calm? Here's one. Do you react or respond? What if there's a problem? What if you messed up? Do you play the blame game? Try it again. Do you play the blame game? There, we got it. Or do you take ownership? Do you bring clarity or are you adding confusion? Because if you're a leader, the people around you, the ones following, they're not listening or just listening to what you say. They're watching how you respond. And the way you respond teaches more than your words will ever teach. Because clarity from the top will create confidence below. But if you are leading from a place of instability, and the Bible says that an unstable man is a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And so if you're leading from a place of instability because you're double-minded, then the people you are leading will have a ton of anxiety. This is something that I'm recognizing more every single day. And pressure, by the way, it's not just showing up in leadership. It shows up in relationships. Think about in marriage or when as a mother or father. What about your friendships? Pressure shows up. And when it does, do you withdraw? Do you lash out? Do you shut down? Maybe you become critical. Instead of leaning in with patience, with grace, with understanding. I said it, and more importantly, Jesus said it. Pressure reveals the condition of our hearts, and it shows whether love is rooted in either convenience or commitment. Because strong relationships were never built in easy moments. It's actually the difficult times that prove it, that prove the relationships. Are you standing beside the one, whomever that may be? Again, it could be marriage, it could be parenting, it could be friendships. Strong relationships aren't built in easy moments. They're proved in difficult moments. because it's always easy to get along with everyone when everyone's being super nice. It's easy to be kind when everything is good. It's powerful. Something is transformed. Something is changed when we're kind, when everything is not good. And I believe that when we are under pressure, God doesn't waste that moment or that opportunity, I should say. James chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Here's the thing about patience. I tell people all the time, if you pray for patience, prepare yourself, because patience will be tried. The Bible says it produces patience, and what that means is something is being developed. And patience is developed through the trials. Pressure, yes, it reveals, as we've said, but it also refines, because it's exposing weaknesses, but it also builds our strength. It shows the cracks in the armor, so to speak, but it gives us a chance to repair them. Because God's not trying to crush us. He's trying to shape us. And many of you today, the pressure you feel may be the very thing God is using to prepare you for what is next. And here's the thing. You have to ask yourself, what am I doing with what pressure is revealing? When it's revealed, what do I do with that? Do I ignore it? Do I just push it to the side and excuse it? Do I point fingers at everyone else? Do I blame everyone else? Do I take ownership? Because growth begins not, and here's the thing, and I've told people this, you never change, you never grow inside your comfort zone. So the pressure has to be applied to get you outside your comfort zone. Because growth only begins when our excuses end. When we quit making excuses, we will start growing. And so maybe when you're under pressure, you see that you struggle with impatience. Okay, so work on patience. I know that's challenging, ladies and gentlemen. I know. But if pressure reveals you're afraid or you're fearful, okay. Guess what else it revealed? I need to build my faith. If you look at yourself and you say, you know what, I'm under a ton of pressure right now and it's proving that I lack discipline. Okay, guess what else it proves? That you have an opportunity to develop structure. You say, well, you know what, pressure's really, really coming down on me. It's really pushing down on me right now. And it has revealed to me how prideful I am. Okay, guess what else it proves? That you can choose humility. Do not be discouraged by what is exposed when you're under pressure. Be grateful. Because it also reveals what you now can address. And what can be addressed and what is revealed can be redeemed. And that's powerful. The best time to prepare for pressure is before it ever arrives. What you do daily as it relates to discipline will prepare you and build you in an area of strength. And that's why I encourage you to have daily devotion with God. Daily time with God will build stability in your life. It'll keep you from building on the sand. When the storm comes and the pressures of life arise, you'll be grounded. Because daily habits will build consistency. Think about it from an athletic perspective. You don't wait for the game to start to practice. Think of those two gentlemen that were building a house that Jesus talked about out of Matthew chapter 7. You don't wait for the storm to show up before you begin building a foundation. No, you prepare now. So when pressure comes, and hear me, it will come. Then you're not surprised. You're ready. Let me take it a step further, and this is very powerful. Sometimes the pressure we feel, it doesn't just reveal what's in us. It doesn't just reveal what's in you. It actually will reveal the gap between who you are and who you say you want to be. And that gap matters. Because listen, I've met a lot of people that have vision or have calling or have goals, but some of them are never aligned. And pressure will expose alignment. What it does is it shows whether your daily habits match your stated values. And this is tough. I get it. It's tough. It also shows whether your private discipline matches your public desire. Whether your spiritual life is strong or whether it's just spoken about. Because under pressure, you don't live in theory. You live in reality. You don't respond on what you hope for. You respond based on what you actually are. And that can be humbling. But remember, humility is where growth begins. And a lot of people miss this because they experience pressure, they see what comes out, and then they move on and they never address it. They excuse it. They say, well, that's, again, like we said earlier, that's just how I am. They justify it. It's just a hard time right now. I'm just walking through a stressful season. They blame it. They say, well, if they hadn't done that, I would have reacted differently as well. But here's the thing. If you ignore what pressure has revealed, you'll repeat what pressure exposed. And repetition turns patterns into strongholds. Now think about this as it relates to anger and to fear and to inconsistency, patterns of reaction instead of response. And over time, those patterns, they're not just going to affect you. They're going to affect everyone around you. The people around you feel it. They see it. Your culture reflects it. And that's why this matters so much. Because unaddressed patterns will not stay contained. They spread. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay where you are. Because what pressure reveals does not have to define you. It can refine you. Did you hear that? It doesn't have to define you. It can refine you. I think of 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. But we all with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image. And transformation's a process. And it starts with seeing clearly. It acts like a mirror. Pressure acts like a mirror. It shows you what's really there. Not the polished version, not the controlled version, but the real version. And then once you see it, you have to decide, do I ignore it or do I bring it before God and allow him to change me? Because transformation doesn't happen through effort alone. It happens through surrender. And let me say this clearly. That area where you're weak, under pressure, that's the same area that you need intentional growth. Because strength is not accidental either. You don't accidentally become disciplined. You don't accidentally become patient. And you don't accidentally start living a consistent life. You have to build it daily, repeatedly, intentionally. And again, so if there's impatience, practice patience. And this is where real change happens. It's not when everything is easy. It's not when everything is comfortable. You're outside that comfort zone. But when something is exposed and you decide to address it, things change. Growth is uncomfortable. But staying the way you are is costly. If you are not willing to grow once these things have been revealed, staying where you are is costly. And then you have to decide whether it's a price you're willing to pay. Are you willing to pay that price? Because situations will arise again. Moments will come that test you again. It's not if. It's when. So the question is, will you stay the same? Or are you going to be stronger? And the opportunity is before you. So here, I want to challenge you with something. I want to challenge you to ask yourself an honest question. Ask yourself, what has pressure been revealing to me lately? I'm not talking about what others are doing. I'm not talking about what circumstances are causing. We're not going to shift anything here. You're going to ask yourself, what is being revealed to me? And you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be very, very specific. And all of that's going to come from a willingness to grow. So once revealed, take one step, just one, and work on that area. Just one step. Strengthen that area in your life. Because like I said to start the program, pressure is not your enemy. It's your mirror. And if you are willing to respond correctly, pressure, well, it can become your teacher. I want to thank you for listening to, again, another episode of What's Important Now. I'm humbled because this is a program now over 23 years and counting. God has been so faithful in all the moments of my unfaithfulness. He's been consistent in all the moments of my inconsistencies. He's been good, even when I haven't been. If this episode spoke to you, if it challenged you, if it helped you see something more clearly, will you share it with someone? If you're listening on FM radio, you've got to subscribe to our podcasting go to any podcasting platform and subscribe. Make sure you visit legacylivingmedia.com for more resources and the other podcasts that we offer, because we believe that it'll help you live with purpose and to lead with clarity. And as always, fight the good fight of faith. Contend for the faith. There is a cause. It does matter. And it is important now. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, whether by FM radio or on your favorite podcasting platform, but tell someone about what's important now. It's my honor to be here with you. Tom Sears, take care. God bless you. And we'll see you next time.